think it's part of the fabric of what's the royal family and any future.
Royal history turns in an instant as Prince William steps forward, takes control of the crown's power, and orders Camilla's family exiled without delay. The palace reacts quietly while tension rises behind closed doors. Why did William act so quickly? What secrets pushed him this far? Join us as we break down the truth behind this sudden royal command today. A defining Christmas moment at Sandringham. December 25th. Inside the green drawing room at Sandringham, a single sound cut through the air. It was sharp, controlled, and final. A crystal water glass touched the surface of the ancient oak dining table with careful precision. Prince William did not slam it. He placed it in a way that marked a clear turning point. In that quiet moment, a long-standing royal protocol seemed to fall away, replaced by something far more direct and calculated. This was no longer a simple Christmas lunch. The atmosphere had shifted into something far more serious. 14 guests sat still, unable to react. The familiar scent of roasted turkey and sage stuffing filled the room, yet no one had an appetite. The mood had changed completely. At the head of the table sat King Charles. His appearance showed clear signs of fatigue, and his eyes reflected the strain of ongoing treatment. To his right, Queen Camilla maintained a composed smile, though it was beginning to weaken. Across from them sat her children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes. They appeared calm and confident, carrying themselves with ease, as though their position close to the crown placed them beyond challenge. That assumption would soon be tested. Prince William did not wait for the meal to end. He did not pause for dessert or seek permission. His focus turned directly to Tom Parker Bowles. When he spoke, his voice was steady and firm, carrying across the silent room. He made it clear that a certain period had come to an end. He stated that kindness had been misunderstood and that illness had been wrongly seen as an opportunity. According to him, that misunderstanding would stop immediately. Queen Camilla tried to step in. Her voice was low but urgent. She suggested that the matter could be discussed later, after the holiday season. However, William did not agree. His response was calm but decisive. He reached beneath his chair and brought out a thick blue folder. Instead of giving it to his father, he slid it across the table toward the Queen. The gesture was deliberate and direct. He then explained that the folder contained details of a financial discrepancy amounting to $22 million over the past 48 months. He stated that every invoice, every shell company, and every offshore account connected to the Parker Bowles name was documented inside. He made it clear that there would be no delay. The issue would not be pushed into the future. It would be handled immediately. At exactly 1:52, just 7 minutes after William had set down his glass, the heavy double doors at the back of the room opened. The individuals who entered were not footmen. They were two senior officers from the Royalty Protection Group, dressed in dark suits. Their presence broke every expectation of a traditional royal holiday gathering. They had not entered through the main doors. Instead, they came through the service corridors, moving quietly and with purpose. William stood up and gave a direct instruction. The command was clear and left no room for confusion. The reaction in the room was immediate. Laura Lopes gasped, visibly shaken. Tom Parker Bowles began to protest, his voice rising with both anger and disbelief. He challenged the action and called for intervention. Despite this, Queen Camilla did not respond. Her attention remained on the blue folder, then shifted to the officers standing behind her children. In that moment, it became clear to her that this situation had been prepared long in advance. The officers acted calmly and professionally. They did not use handcuffs, avoiding unnecessary noise or spectacle. Instead, they placed firm hands on the backs of Tom and Laura's chairs, signaling that resistance would not be accepted. They were escorted out of the room, not through the grand exits reserved for royal occasions, but through the rear service entrance. They were led past delivery areas and staff quarters, eventually reaching a standard security vehicle without any royal markings. This moment marked an unprecedented action within the House of Windsor. A Prince of Wales had ordered the immediate removal of the Queen Consort's family from a royal estate during one of the most important events of the year. King Charles remained silent. He looked down at his plate, his hands unsteady. He did not speak or intervene. the quiet that followed filled the room with a heavy sense of finality. What had just taken place was more than a personal disagreement. It signaled a shift in authority and approach. William's actions reflected a role beyond that of a son. He was acting as a protector of the institution, taking steps to address what he believed to be a serious internal issue. As of March 22, 2026, this development has begun to draw widespread attention. The incident at the Sandringham table is being seen not simply as a family conflict, but as a significant moment that could shape the future direction of the monarchy. The pace of events is rapid, and the situation continues to unfold. Staying informed is essential as more details come to light. The hidden timeline behind the expulsion. To fully understand the cold and precise nature of the Sandringham expulsion, it is important to look closely at the quiet sequence of events that began 5 days earlier. This was not a sudden reaction driven by emotion. It was a carefully planned operation, built step by step, with a timeline so tight that those involved had no room for delay or error. Every moment mattered, and every move was controlled with extreme care. The process began on December 20th, 2025, inside a private study at Kensington Palace. At exactly 11 o'clock in the morning, a senior liaison from the Financial Intelligence Unit of MI5 arrived carrying a heavy, unmarked briefcase. Inside that case was a 400-page dossier filled with critical information. This document contained detailed records showing the digital traces of every pound that had been taken from the Crown's emergency reserves. It was clear, organized, and impossible to ignore. After carefully reviewing the final summary of the dossier, Prince William made a decision that had no modern precedent. He activated a highly classified protocol known in top security circles as the Regency Shadow. This marked a turning point. In that moment, the Prince of Wales moved beyond his role as heir and began operating with the authority and focus of a commander. His actions became direct, deliberate, and guided by a clear objective. However, taking action required legal authority. That authority was granted on December 23rd at exactly 9:47 in the evening. The meeting took place at St. James's Palace, away from public attention and under the strict supervision of the Lord Chief Justice and the Home Secretary. During this meeting, King Charles, though visibly tired, signed a temporary transfer of sovereign powers. His hand showed signs of strain, but the legal impact of his signature was complete and immediate. From that exact moment, Prince William gained full control over the Privy Purse, which is the monarch's private treasury. This gave him the power needed to move forward without limitation. With control secured, the operation entered its next phase. Everything was now in place, and the structure of the plan was fully active. The public first saw the results on Christmas Day. At 1:45 in the afternoon, the expulsion of the Parker Bowles children took place. This moment acted as a clear and visible signal that change had begun. However, what the public witnessed was only a small part of a much larger operation that continued quietly behind closed doors. In the early hours of December 26th, at exactly 3 o'clock in the morning, a tactical rapid response team moved into action at Buckingham Palace. While most of the country remained asleep, the team entered Archive B, located deep within the oldest section of the palace. They moved quickly through complex corridors, heading directly towards safe number 4. At that location, they found Ali Hassan, the Queen's most trusted protection officer. He was caught in the strong beam of a tactical flashlight while attempting to destroy key documents using an incendiary device. He was immediately stopped and placed under arrest. The documents, which were still intact, provided clear evidence that the financial activity was not only real, but also being hidden by individuals within the Queen's closest circle. After this discovery, the operation entered a period of silence that lasted for several months. During this time, Prince William's team focused on building a case that could not be challenged. Every detail was reviewed, every record was checked, and every step was carefully verified to ensure complete accuracy. Then, on March 21st, at exactly 11 o'clock in the morning, the situation changed dramatically. A coordinated global information release was carried out with precise timing. Within 1 hour, the long-standing media structure that had supported Camilla for decades stopped functioning. Support from the press disappeared, and key advisors withdrew from public view. The shift was sudden and unmistakable. The following morning, on March 22, 2026, another critical step took place. At exactly 9 o'clock in the morning, the High Court of the Isle of Man responded to a direct request from the acting Prince Regent. The court issued an emergency order to freeze the assets of 3 specific shell companies. These companies were directly connected to offshore trusts linked to the Parker Bowles family. The missing funds were located within these structures, confirming the financial trail. With this action, the timeline reached completion. The missing money had been identified, and the system behind it had been exposed. However, as the day continued, a new and more serious concern began to emerge. Investigators noticed that every fraudulent document carried a small purple insignia. This detail appeared consistently across all materials, raising important questions about its meaning and origin. The presence of this symbol suggested a deeper layer to the situation, one that extended beyond financial activity. Attention then turned to the interrogation of Ali Hassan. Records from his questioning, particularly his statements given at 4 o'clock in the morning, were expected to provide critical answers. These details were believed to hold the key to understanding the full scope of the situation. As the investigation continued, one central question remained. What role did the Queen play, and at what point did key decisions begin to shift? The answers to these questions were now tied to the information gathered during the operation, and the truth was beginning to take shape in a way that would redefine everything that had come before. Inside the precision, behind the financial breach. The scale of the betrayal is overwhelming. A total of 87 million was diverted from the sovereign's reserve. Yet, the true shock is not the size of the amount, but the careful and calculated method used to take it. This was not a simple act of embezzlement. It was a highly structured operation, described by investigators as the sandwiching technique. This method was a calculated financial system designed to take advantage of a king during moments of physical weakness. The operation began with the first phase, known as filtering. This stage was especially disturbing for the Prince of Wales to uncover. A trusted senior aide within the Queen's private office was given a single, serious responsibility. This person closely monitored King Charles's strictly private medical schedule. The focus was on identifying what investigators now call the malaise window. This was a specific 48-hour period that followed the King's intensive chemotherapy sessions and post-operative treatments. During these periods, the King was not fully incapacitated. However, his thinking was slower due to strong medication and deep physical fatigue. In this condition, he became more open to suggestion, more trusting, and more reliant on the comfort and guidance of his wife. This made the timing extremely important for the next stage of the operation. Once the malaise window was identified, the second phase began. This phase was known as sandwiching. A collection of documents would be carefully prepared and presented for the King's signature. At the top and bottom of the stack were real and urgent ceremonial papers. These included routine approvals, such as the appointment of ambassadors, military commissions, and official charitable declarations. These documents were genuine and required immediate approval from the sovereign. However, hidden between these legitimate papers were the fraudulent documents. These were the ghost invoices. They appeared to be high-value approvals for specialist services, but in reality, these services never took place. For example, there were authorizations for large sums, such as $500,000 for a renovation project that did not exist, and $2 million for crisis public relations consulting linked to firms that were only registered as postal addresses in offshore locations. These false documents were placed carefully between real ones, making them difficult to detect during a quick review. The third phase was the psychological trigger, known as activation. Before the documents reached the King, each fraudulent paper was marked with a small but clear purple insignia. This mark was recognized as the Queen's personal seal to King Charles. The presence of this seal carried a powerful message. It signaled safety and reassurance. Without any need for words, it communicated that the documents had already been reviewed, approved, and handled with care. This visual signal played a key role. It allowed the King to trust the documents completely. Believing that everything had already been checked, he signed them without hesitation. His trust, built over decades, became a central part of the system. As he signed the papers, he remained unaware that he was authorizing the movement of funds from the Crown's emergency reserves. The final phase of the operation was disbursement. Once the documents were signed, the release of funds was triggered immediately. The money did not go to official royal vendors or estate workers. Instead, it was directed into a complex financial network known as the Post Safety Fund. This system operated offshore and was designed to secure long-term financial stability for the Parker Bowles family. The funds moved through several stages. They were first transferred from the palace to the Isle of Man. From there, they passed through multiple layers of shell companies. Eventually, the money settled into trusts controlled by Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes. This entire structure ensured that the funds were difficult to trace and securely positioned. The result of this four-step system was the steady and systematic draining of the National Emergency Reserve. These funds were originally meant to protect the monarchy during times of constitutional crisis. By the time the Prince of Wales and his team identified the pattern, the safety fund had reached a total of 87 million. As financial auditors followed the digital trail, they uncovered something even more troubling than the missing money. The situation extended beyond financial management. It raised serious concerns about the king's personal condition. Interrogation records from palace staff revealed that the same purple seal used on documents was also used to block certain medical second opinions. These second opinions could have disrupted the timing of the malaise windows. This discovery shifted the nature of the case. It was no longer limited to financial wrongdoing. It suggested a calculated effort to maintain the king in a controlled state of weakness. The implications of this finding were serious and far-reaching. As the investigation continued, attention turned to legal action. Documents now show that the Prince of Wales had already contacted the Home Office. The purpose of this contact was to discuss a step that had never been publicly associated with a queen consort. That step was prosecution. The case has moved far beyond palace speculation or public gossip. It has developed into a structured legal file described by constitutional lawyers as a dossier of absolute authority. This dossier is a detailed, multi-layered body of evidence that leaves little space for denial. To understand how the Prince of Wales was able to dismantle a long-standing hidden system in such a short time, it is necessary to examine the three levels of evidence now secured in a high-security vault at Kensington Palace. These materials represent the foundation of the case and mark a critical turning point in the unfolding investigation. The authority staircase and a royal deadline. The first level of this authority staircase begins with clear mathematical proof. William's team used a highly specialized system of forensic artificial intelligence. This kind of tool is usually reserved for tracking international money laundering and detecting state-level forgery. It is not commonly used in royal matters, which shows the seriousness of the situation. The software was designed to examine every document signed by King Charles from the time of his initial diagnosis. Each signature, each mark, and every detail was carefully studied. The findings were deeply concerning. The artificial intelligence identified exactly 237 transactions that did not match expected patterns. These were not small differences. Under normal conditions, a healthy signature from the king shows a consistency rate of about 98% in letter shape, spacing, and pressure. However, in the documents under review, that consistency dropped sharply. In some cases, it fell as low as 64%. This drop is not minor. It clearly shows a serious change in motor control. The software reached a firm conclusion. These documents were signed at a time when the king's motor abilities were significantly affected. This condition was linked to post-operative medication. The period during which this occurred is known as the malaise window. What was once discussed as a possible theory has now been established as a measurable and provable fact. The documents became more than just paperwork. They formed a scientific record of vulnerability. The second level of the staircase moves away from digital analysis and focuses on sound. This part of the evidence comes from GCHQ, the government's signals intelligence agency. They provided a recording that has caused serious concern within the cabinet. The source of the recording was a burner phone. This phone was registered to a shell company located in Jersey. However, its use was limited to one place, the Queen's private quarters at Clarence House. The voice captured in the recording is clearly identified as that of the Queen Consort. The conversation lasts 3 minutes and takes place between her and her chief protection officer. During this exchange, a directive is given regarding a specific item. the instruction focuses on a red portfolio stored in Archive B. The direction is simple but alarming. The contents of that portfolio must not remain intact. Every effort must be made to ensure that the ink becomes unreadable. There is also a clear warning. If William gains access to the original documents, the situation would become irreversible. This recording changes the nature of the case. What might have been viewed as financial mismanagement now takes on a far more serious meaning. It suggests an organized effort to block a royal investigation. The situation moves beyond error and into deliberate action. The third level of the staircase is the legal stage. This is where the consequences become most severe. William is not handling this matter through private discussions within the family. Instead, he has connected the evidence to two of the strongest legal statutes in the British system. The first relates to the protection of vulnerable individuals. The systematic use of the king's medical condition is considered a violation of the Elder Abuse Act of 2006. This law exists to prevent any form of exploitation during periods of weakness. The second charge is even more serious. The movement of £87 million from the sovereign grant into private offshore accounts has been classified as financial treason. This classification was made by the Lord Chief Justice. Financial treason is not a minor accusation. It carries the possibility of losing all royal titles. It also includes permanent removal from the United Kingdom. The weight of this charge alone is enough to reshape the future of anyone involved. All of this evidence has now been brought together into one document. This document is known as the 48-hour ultimatum. At exactly 9 o'clock this morning, William's legal team delivered a formal demand to the Queen's legal representatives. The conditions are strict and leave no room for negotiation. A total of £45 million must be returned within 48 hours. This amount represents the portion of funds currently held in the Isle of Man that can be accessed immediately. The money must be placed back into the privy purse without delay. If this demand is not met, the situation will escalate. William has made it clear that he is ready to move from a private crisis into a full public trial. This would not remain within palace walls. It would become a matter for the courts and the public. If the deadline passes without action, the world will witness something unprecedented. A sitting queen consort would face a public indictment for fraud and treason. As the deadline approaches, new developments have been noticed. Activity at the Royal Mint has increased suddenly. Printers are working on a new set of ceremonial documents. At the same time, changes have appeared in preparations for the upcoming state opening of Parliament. The name Camilla seems to have been physically removed from official materials. These actions are not random. They point toward a hidden clause within the Regency Act. This clause has not yet been publicly discussed by William. However, its impact could be far-reaching. It has the power to alter official records in a significant way. If applied, it could remove the last 20 years of royal history from formal recognition. This possibility raises a serious question. What happens when a figure expected to hold a central role is legally removed from the record? The answer lies in the final phase of William's strategy. This phase has not yet been fully revealed, but its presence is already shaping events. The British monarchy now stands at a critical point. The combination of evidence, legal action, and time pressure has created a situation unlike any in its modern history. Every step forward carries weight, and every decision will have lasting consequences. The three paths before the crown. As the sun sets on March 22, Prince William is no longer facing just a financial crime. He is now looking at three clear paths that could shape the future of the House of Windsor. Each path comes with a serious cost, and the choice he makes could decide whether the monarchy stands strong in the next decade or falls under the weight of this crisis. The first path is known as the Tower scenario. This is the road of full legal action. In this case, William allows the Metropolitan Police and the Crown Prosecution Service to move forward with a public charge for financial treason and elder abuse. The Queen Consort would lose her titles and honors and be brought before a criminal court at the Old Bailey. This path would give the public a strong sense of justice. However, the damage would be severe. A public trial involving a sitting queen would turn the monarchy into a global display of scandal. It could lead to rising public anger and even push a Republican movement that the institution may not survive. This option brings total exposure, but at a very high price. The second path is permanent exile. Evidence suggests this is the direction William is already taking. In this situation, the Queen Consort keeps her title in name only. She is removed from the king's presence and sent to a secure and remote location in the Scottish Highlands. She is cut off from public duties, loses her private office, and is removed from all royal communication systems. She will not appear at state events, public ceremonies, or any royal gatherings. Most importantly, she will have no access to the king. This approach is quiet but firm. It removes the problem without creating a public explosion. It is a controlled solution that isolates the issue while protecting the image of the crown. It becomes a life of complete separation and silence. The third path is a dignified cover-up. This is the traditional way the royal family has handled crises in the past. It would involve announcing a sudden retirement due to health reasons and allowing the Queen Consort to step away quietly. She would fade from public view while keeping her secrets hidden. However, sources suggest that William has rejected this option. He believes that silence in the past created a sense of immunity for those involved. Instead of hiding the issue, he wants a lasting solution that prevents anything similar from happening again. William's choice of exile shows that he is dealing with two strong responsibilities. On one side, he is a son who has seen his father suffer during a time of illness. He wants fairness for what has happened. On the other hand, he is the future king. He understands that a public courtroom scandal could damage the monarchy for years and affect his own future reign. His decision aims to protect both his father's dignity and the stability of the crown. However, as this plan moves forward, a new concern has appeared. Reports suggest that the Queen Consort's children, Tom and Laura, may be taking action. There are signs of encrypted messages being sent from a private server in the south of France to a major international publisher. This raises serious questions. If financial control is no longer possible, they may try to use sensitive information instead. There is growing concern that private medical records of the king could be exposed. With a 48-hour deadline approaching, the situation is becoming more tense. What was meant to be a final solution now feels like only the beginning. The exile was expected to restore order, but it has instead opened the door to new risks. As March 22, 2026 unfolds, it is becoming clear that this crisis is far from over, and the next move may come from those who feel they have nothing left to lose. What do you do about Prince William's power control? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Before you go, be sure to click on the video shown on your screen.